morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are, ladies and gentlemen. See, first of all, last, last podcast, I did almost 1 hour or so. Uh, but then I could not find it on the YouTube channel. Normally there is this section called live section. That once I finish my talk, I usually go there and repost it, but I was unable to find it. Maybe it is due to program updates or such. I don't know. So it's always with the technology and the updates and it's just one thing one thing after another. It is really challenging to keep up with these computer updates. You know. Uh, uh, but what are you gonna do? Ever since ever since the time of ancient Egypt and pharaohs and humankind always had this problem. The technology problem. I mean, whoever whoever possessed the arrow, you know, that could go the farthest distance. Who can send the longest rocket, who can lift the heaviest. It's always a race with the technology. It's just and we do our best. So actually today I am going to talk about this. Last time actually again I was talking about the journey, the human journey, the voyage or the journey or the travel. That we must do by ourselves. Sometimes you find people to go along with you. Sometimes you cannot, but it's just one way or another. I mean, there is the road that we need to travel, and sometimes even there is not a road. As life, I think is all about that travel. And how do you travel? Like I'm telling you, oftentimes you have to travel all by yourself. That includes driving a car, moving one place to another. You know, cruising in the city, or it just doesn't matter to move, driving from one city to another. It's just always yeah, you are all by yourself. Uh, this voyage, this travel, this human travel. Oftentimes, I mean, sometimes you get a companion, but still, even with companions, it's just sometimes the roads separate, and then one goes one way, the other goes the other way. It's just we have to have our own roadmap. That is to say, we have to find our way with the GPS navigation, with the paper navigation, or with the map navigation, or by looking at stars. It's just even though we are 8 billion people, but uh, interestingly, the human biology is still producing unique characters. at this day and age, with the education, and the technology, the development of neurons and everything, and the brain development, you name it, or just the faith. If you believe in God, it's just everybody everybody comes to this world with a reason, with a cause. Just we just have to discover it. Why we are on this planet? It's just what should I do? Because because unless even if you have identical twins, you still have to figure out your life because nobody's gonna live your life. You have to live your life. So 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 it's a travel. I mean, it's just the this thing called life. Why I'm saying this? Because oftentimes we are pushed into groups, or this community, that community. You leave one, you join another. Then you don't like that one. You look for another one. It's just the memberships, the clubs, and everything. We just maybe we are looking for help for our travel, for our voyage. Let's start with the I am a biologist. Let's start with the voyage of Darwin. I mean, he just packed a bag and and then boarded the ship, and and then that's it. You know, just whatever the English was trying to do, he was on his own voyage. Nobody knew what he was going to write, what he was going to do. Even he didn't know, what to do at the end. In the end, so like Che Guevara, it's just let the world change you, so you can change the world. I mean, it's just so that this starts with travel, and then now, we are seeing this human history, history, ancient history is all about travel. Very interesting. With the recent, findings at Göbekli Tepe, let me talk about the city, like the 10,000 years BC. Uh, I mean, now they have found a pillar with a human face on it, and where did they come from? From north. Most likely, maybe it got colder. They just traveled south to find some warmth, to find some green stuff, animals, foliage, vegetation. The, you know, see, we are studying history, but we are not studying the climate. That's why we have all this problem with the climate change, and all these denials, and as if Earth was the same all along. No, it wasn't. We had this, I mean, weird thing called Ice Age, and Ice Age changes the topography. It changes the geography. If there's a shallow sea, it becomes land. And, if there was a, and when the ice melts, all these coastal areas, get inundated, gets flooded, and then people again get to move, start looking for higher ground, looking for other places. Diseases, lack of food, earthquakes, volcanoes, you name it. I mean, it's just but to first you gotta decide to stay or to go. What you should do. That's a big decision. You know, unless you are forced. With some extreme conditions, but how do you prepare for a travel? I mean, how do you prepare for a travel? I mean, it's just imagine back in the day, thousands of years ago, there is no such a thing as country. Maybe there was language. Imagine what language were they speaking? Imagine all these people coming together from different areas. Like, imagine what language were they speaking at Göbekli Tepe? Now you tell me. Trust me, nobody knows. We don't know what language were they speaking at Göbekli Tepe. They haven't written anything. I mean, Sumerians, they say their language is kind of similar to Turkish, Mongolian, depending based on the structure of the language. It's not Semitic. It's not Akkadian. See, they came from north. They came from Sumerians. Came from north. David Naiman, famous historian. He says that Sumerians came from north. And now with the lack of Denisovan, the skulls or the skeletons, we don't know the exact history, but it looks like, I mean, with the new discoveries of the human skulls and such. See, I am very I am very hopeful about Denisovans. Just maybe we need to refigure this human creation or human evolution thing. It's just there is Homo erectus, and then all of a sudden the brain size almost doubles. Almost doubles. How? How? That's very tough. And not to mention the invention of fire and such. But that is the question to answer. It's just even this modern age with the computers and with this digital jungle. That's it. I mean, it has become a now digital jungle with the AI and everything. With the shadows, and you have to look twice for a video just to decide it is real or not. And then people are just, I guess, people are happy to waste the electricity, the water, and everything just to create stupid videos on AI. I mean, they're just like, it just makes sense, I guess. I don't know, to them, but with the AI, first of all, it is waste of electricity unless you are doing something very useful for the humankind. I mean, so I am learning the AI, if you are saying, but at least do some, beneficial testing, and make some videos that can help people. I mean, it's just people are just creating like weird videos with AI, and it's just even like anything you don't use on the internet, delete it. You're gonna help these data centers. Now people are actually fighting for data center usage because data center needs land, needs water, needs power. You just have to give some of the cornfield you had or your grandma had to the tech guys so they can build a data center. It's just data what? Data center for your excuse me. For your AI bullshit. Are you willing to give up your cornfield? With birds in it, bugs in it, or a field filled with nice trees and etc. with lots of mushrooms. So remember me. Actually, there's nobody to remember, but I should remind myself that actually I'm gonna talk about a little bit mushroom hunting because it is the season. And now the schools started, so and mushrooms are a great way to start educational projects and such, because so far they've been overlooked. I mean, it's just and not we didn't have many experts on fungi. It's just people are scared of it. Well, I don't know why, but it's just but it belongs to the forest. It's not witchcraft. It's just it's part of the medical science. Okay, so there is this stigma, and you say shrooms, mushrooms, and people are thinking, that just the addicts and such and maniacs and crazy people. No, it's just actually I am putting my own effort. That this is my travel actually. I am putting my own effort to normalize, fungi human relations, if that's the right word, the right way to say it. Because we need to fix this problem. We need to fix this problem. Okay, yes, I mean there are sick people, there are people that needs mental health, and there are lots of people suffering from depression and taking lots of medication, this and that, and people suffering everywhere, PTSD and this and depression and hyperactivity or whatever. But it's just like plants, mushrooms, it's just they are full of remedies to many of the diseases and problems we have, and they're just to be discovered and found in nature. Okay, so to summarize, actually, we biologists, we do not do science, for the sick, this or that. We do science for the sake of science, because somebody must go into the forest and do this, discover these creatures, record them, write them down. Where are they? How are they found? How are they structured? Just all these organisms in the forest, microbes, bacteria, fungi, trees, anything. It just imagine, you enter a building. What do? You tell me. You enter a building. Totally, it's just they say, okay, see, enter this door. What do? What do? You tell me. Like just a building, you have no idea what's in it. They just They just let you in the, in the front door. What do you do? Would you walk the entire building? Would you? What if there are, dangerous creatures and such? Can you? Will you? Would you? That says that. What would you do? First thing, you wanna turn on the lighting, right? So you can see better, right? You wanna look for the light switch if it is dark, if it is a dark building. First thing first, what you do? You turn you turn on the light. That's what science is. Very simple. Just very basic definition. You shed light on stuff, whatever it is. Even under microscope, you still need lighting. I mean, it's because as you focus deeper, you need more light, because it's just you're looking at a narrow section of the specimen or tissue or whatever you're looking at. You're losing light, so you need more light as you increase the focus, the magnification. The same thing when we try to look at Earth or sky or space. We just need light to see what's there. Same thing. It doesn't matter. You're looking up to the sky. You're looking down into the soil, into the leaves, roots, rocks. It's just you just need light. You just have to see. So this is this and not everywhere. I mean, it just you can travel with many people with you. Oftentimes, you need to be like divers. Imagine, like you have to dive 10 meters below surface. How many people can you take with you? You tell me. One or two. Let's say 5. That's it. You will not find many people who have the ability or the education or the training to dive 100 meters below surface or inside the cave. I mean, you have to look for, all over the world for such a, person with qualifications to do so. So some travels you have to do all by yourself. Like Moses, like Jonah, like Muhammad, It's just some he would climb the Hira mountain, all by himself before the revelations regarding Quran started. His wife would sometimes come and drop him some clothes and such and food maybe, but he would stay at the mountain all by himself. Think about it. Think about it. I mean, we know he didn't go crazy while staying up there, because actually quite the opposite. When he came down the mountain, he established the biggest Arabic state and a religion. Very, very interesting. So, climbing mountains, it's just in Sumer, and they had this ziggurat, the artificial mounds and such. It's just like Everest. I mean, you are climbing. You are a mountaineer. How many people, can climb Everest? 10, 20, 50. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Some journeys, some voyages, some travels, you have to do all by yourself. Your father will not be there. Your mother will not be there. It's just but God is always there to help you. I am a faithful man. I can assure you, wherever you go, you know, God will be with you. So all religious, leaders and stories, that just, you know, it's not easy to become a leader, even in the animal kingdom, because you must learn to lead the flock, and we know from this stork, we know this from ibis birds and such cranes, even storks. I mean, they travel from all the way Yemen to you know Latvia or Siberia in northern Europe, but they rely on older birds to find the terminals. You know that you cannot wing clap your wing to Africa. There's no way. That's just that the science says young storks, are unable to fly such distances without the assistance of a older stork, you know, that knows how to use the thermals and air currents, and that just knows how to glide, how to catch one thermal after another, so stays afloat, stays in the air, glides, you know, long distances, 200 kilometers, 300 kilometers, catching the wind, catching the stream. It's just the young storks can't do that. They need to learn from the older ones. So and then once they learn it through decades, the stork just learns how to fly. Maybe well enough in 10 years, 15 years, becomes a master in 20 years. As long as they live. Same thing with deer. Same thing with horses. They all have leaders that are just leading the herd, telling them where to go, what to do. It's just basic biology. So I mean, it's just unless there's nowhere left to go. I mean, in the case of dinosaurs, I mean, it's just sometimes your time is up. It's just there's nowhere to go. What are you gonna do in that case? It's just you just travel to the other world. If there's nowhere to go. So we become equipped, with the technology, with the knowledge and skills, and like I said, it's a travel. That is your travel. That is your travel. The map is here. The map is here in your brain. It's just built for you. You have your own GPS navigator there. Use it. God gave you a GPS navigator. Use it. Animals are using it. Fish are using it. Birds are using it. sharks are using it. Caretas, all those sea turtles and whatever, you know, everybody's whatever you call it, by like geosignature or magnetite and this and that and Earth's magnetic field. It doesn't matter. It's a mountain range or you're looking at a star or a polarized light and this and that. You can just all this quantum jungle. All this subatomic universe. That just God gave us enough cells to guide us through the storms and such. That is your travel. So you need to prepare for that travel. You need to prepare for that travel. You just get enough food. It's just uh, all means necessary. So it's just life is a travel. It's just it is the way. So in the meantime, it's just back in the day, you're traveling from one place to another. How much food can you store? In your cart, in your car, in your wagon, horse, carriage. It's just 2 days, 3 days worth of food, week long. And if your travel is longer than, I am reading history. Like I think the other day I was reading the story of the conquest of Baghdad. From Persians. It's just the magnificent Suleiman. It's just once he was notified that the Persians are acting up and attacking the eastern provinces. He sends one of the viziris. That first ahead. And then he joins him. It takes months. You admire these guys. Alexander. The Suleiman or Fatih, the conqueror of Istanbul, Constantine. They were just traveling. I mean, you don't go there by plane. It's just that they were traveling on foot, on horse, staying in tents and such. Life was not easy in those days. Same thing for Crusaders too. I think they were just, I guess, walking on land, on foot. It's just maybe occasions they were, using ships and such, But oftentimes they have used the routes in Anatolia. Caesar and Hannibal and just all armies. I mean, it's just Hannibal, for instance. It's just, he had like 50 elephants cross the the Alpinic, mountain range in northern Italy. That's crazy. So that was his travel. So how do you prepare for such travel? How do you prepare for such travel? I'm personally actually having hard time. Yet I believe in God. It just if I am to live, another 10 years, 20 years, I guess He will provide me. But and yet I love to travel as well. Myself, it's just I used to travel a lot, is it safe to travel these days? I don't know. That's a whole different issue. Is it safe to travel? Like it was before. I don't know much. I mean, it's just. But with a companion, maybe it becomes easier. But it's just in general, I mean, whether you are going from one city to another. It's been 35 minutes, by the way. So I am still going to talk about mushrooms. I'm just gonna give a couple of recommendations to my colleagues, and just it's the season, so there are things to do. But to summarize, I mean, yes, the political people, they love the big meetings and say, we just gotta join together and become one and do this and that. That's a travel too. That's a spiritual travel. Being organized, being joining like communities and groups and such. We need to watch. We need to watch each other, protect, and then especially in this day and age, with all these wars, all of a sudden you find yourself alone in the middle of nothing. Imagine, it's just, and then this was, I guess, more common, in the past actually. But traveling alone was dangerous too. I mean, they would kidnap you and you would become a slave. Without an army, without the protection of the city walls. Why do you think they built city walls? Because once the sun sets, everybody must be locked behind the city wall. That's the security. Back in the day, you know, the cities are protected with the walls. The Chinese built theirs, and he would feel. I would if he, maybe we should reinvent that. You know, let's start living like a like a medieval people. In the gated communities. In America. Some apartment complexes, but still, just would you? Would you live in a city just all the residents are known and registered, and just nobody else can get in at night? It's just it's just, it's not like customs. These days, it's just they in any city. I mean, it's just people just take a car and just drive, and that's why we have all these weird events. Shooting here, shooting there, this and that, and then you're not gonna stop this by deploying armies and such. It's just doesn't make any sense. How you're just gonna? It's just why did Roma? Why did Roman Empire collapsed? It was just too big. It was just too big to protect. It's just with even all the roads and such. It's just, how are you going to protect, guard all that land? There's no way. There is no way. So it's better not to generate hostility. It's just you cannot kill all of your enemies. There is no way. Nobody ever did. It's just no way. It's no, nobody. Like Persians, for example. It's just they were the enemies of the Greeks, and now they are the enemies of the certain Middle Eastern countries. You know, even the Ottomans, they didn't bother fighting Persians. It's just, why would you? Why would you? Why would you? It's just their main goal was to get into Europe, not into Tehran. Why would they? It's a good question. If they wanted, they would. you know. But why would? Because they were already, the Ottomans. They were family to the Europeans. The many of the sultans, had mothers from Slovenia, from the Albania and Serbia and such. Why would they send their sons to conquer Tehran, Persia? I mean, yes, yeah, I mean, as a Muslim, many of them, were Muslim, and they were obliged to protect the Mecca, the Islamic world. But it's just, and that's about it. It's just if the that's about it. You just well, what are you gonna do? So like I said, it's just so the school year has started. This is for everybody. It's just life is a travel, and then we need to prepare ourselves, because it's just nobody's nobody's carrying your luggage. That nobody's carrying your luggage. You have to carry. You have to prepare your own luggage. But like Darwin, he put notebooks and maybe some oculars and such, some maybe some boxes to keep insects and etc. So what's in your luggage? You know, you know, it's just emergency. Say, you know, what's in your backpack? What's in your backpack? Ladies and gentlemen, this is enough with the travel talk. This is the personal development part. Like I said, I felt this is important because we are still now, discussing. We have this era. We are living this age. iPhone, iPad, I this, I that. Is it, or being a global citizen? Or is it even with the Trump and everything, the globalist and the nationalist, I'm just trying to make sense of it, because we good, thank God we have the peace agreement between Israel and Gaza, but I'm still trying to understand, how did it happen, the globalist, or the evil globalist and the nationalist. Which one won? I think the nationalist won. The globalist lost. They say Trump is not a globalist. I think that it's just even in Turkey. They have some guys still in jail. Like they say Kavala. They say he's the man of the Soros, George Soros. I have no idea who that guy is. I guess they are globalist. I have never heard of. I have never heard of them. It's just this globalist gang. That's just trying to rule the earth, and then the versus the nationalist. So which one should I join? Or none of them. It's just look at what the Trump guys are doing in America. They are sending ICE everywhere, just abseiling from the roofs and, arresting people, sending troops to every city, and then, trying to arrest mayors and such. It's just what on earth we are living through. So I wanna actually end this part with that, side Nursi, it's an example from Turkey. We were trying to explain Sufism when I was living in America. We were trying to explain Said Nursi to Arabs and other nations, and they were all busy with their ideology. Who's this Turkish Kurdish, scholar Said Nursi to make any claim to any of the problems of the Islamic world. Who is Said Nursi? In Turkey, he's a big person. In some universities in America, some scholars started, lectures to his name, on his books. Uh, he says, I looked at, the Islamic history. I couldn't find anybody, except, of course, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to lead me, as a teacher, as a scholar. I needed somebody to guide me. I couldn't find anybody, he says. So I followed Quran, the, 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 the road of the rope of the Quran, he says. So his books are a kind of one of a kind interpretation of Quran, his own interpretations. Unlike others. So many of the people didn't like him because he was saying new stuff. His interpretations are, he didn't like during the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. He fought, wars for the Ottomans. He was member of the, I think, Kurdish, armies, set to fight in the region. He fought, and he fell prisoner to Russians. He traveled mysteriously. He just got out of the prisoner camp, traveled through, Ukraine, and then came to Istanbul, and then so he did his own travel. They say he was traveling even at night, through a forest that people are scared to travel during the day. He was traveling at night, in a place people are scared to travel during the day because of his faith. I mean, with the faith, like, remember, like the Martin Luther King, he says, with this faith, so if you have faith, you can go anywhere, remember Montgomery bus boycott, Rosa Parks, same thing, so she wanted to travel on the front seat. That was her travel. She didn't want to travel in the back seat. She wanted to travel in the front seat. Montgomery bus boycott. Remember those days. So yeah. It's 48 minutes. So speak. So see, it gets longer and longer. I mentioned it's gonna be spontaneous some topics, but so even the religious leaders, all leaders, I mean, they have their own what do you call the travel itinerary, just whatever you say. Okay, so enough with the travel. So wherever you wanna go, just make sure you're prepared. Read your books, be prepared, and you don't need much to travel. Okay, you will find food along the way. Given that you are well planned for your route. So let's talk about the mushrooms. Yes, the season has started, and then many of my seasoned colleagues are just improving ways to clone and such. Even myself, it's just I just see I was incubating and keeping my logs in an old fridge, and I just got rid of it, gave it away. It's just was occupying too much space. So it's just sometimes we just need to move on to better methods and better technology. It's not easy. It's just to give up certain things, but sometimes we must. there are too many mushroom species to study. But if you want to get into mycology, start, one or two species, and then work your way up. Because many of the mushrooms, like it is in microbiology, fungal species are dependent on another, or dependent on other creatures. They do live in a symbiosis. So, they are often found under the trees. In real forest, they're associated with living things. So many of the mushrooms you see in the forest, they grow on live roots. Yes, there are some ones growing on dead logs. That's a whole different story. How they colonize. Imagine a long tree, hundreds of feet. 50 feet to 100 feet. It's just, depending on the type, you see different colonization of mycelium. The conchs and, Ganoderma and reishi and this and that, and Fomitopsis and such. So, they all have, certain benefits. So it's just, start baby steps. Start with one species. Once you establish, once you become confident, get a microscope, for God's sake. I mean, like I said, you just need to see the features. You just need to characterize it. It's like learning about dogs. They're just different breeds, and then it's just you have to be very careful because they look alike, and you have to analyze first of all, it needs to be fresh. The specimen, whatever you're looking at, it's like, people were trying to classify the dinosaurs. You find a baby dinosaur, you cannot classify it as a new species. It's a baby dinosaur. It just maybe it will take another 30, 50, 100 years to grow into the full size and full features. So people do this. So to classify and learn something, you have to know all the stages. You cannot just make a poor diagnosis based on a young specimen or an old specimen. So often the times the seasoned fungal hunters and mentors and teachers, they show you all the stages of the fungi. You must know all the stages of the fungi you are studying. All the stages, the baby ones, the medium sized, big ones, old ones, even the rotten ones. You should know how they smell, how they look, coloration, pigmentation, where they are found, associated plants and such. All the stages, all the life stages. Like a frog. I mean, you have to know the tadpole. The thing has many life cycles, life forms. The tadpole is different, and then there's this the intermediate stage with the health tail, and then it loses the tail and becomes just a small frog, and then grows. So it's important. It's the same thing with the diseases. You have to know the beginning of the disease, the early onset, the late onset. Just the time is the fourth dimension. See, the time is the fourth dimension. We are living in a everybody thinks we are in a three-dimension world. No, we live in a fourth dimension. That is time. Things change over the time. That is the fourth dimension. maybe there is fifth. I don't know. Maybe there is sixth. Outside the solar system, inside black holes. I don't know, but I think this is very important to again I remind you. Just you need to know all the stages of whatever you are studying. Fungi, plant, you know, the seeds, and even with plants, what you do, you start with the seed and the seedling, and it grows, and from seedling to the full size. So it is important to learn all that. And then please do help each other to see the fungal community needs one another. Yes, we have our own routes and pathways to travel, to study, to investigate. However, still, we just need one another for ideas, for help. Even the Nobel prizes. I mean, see that just three people usually. I mean, now we see they're just trios. I mean, they get the Nobel. Today they, you know, they showed the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize from Venezuela, opposition leader, declared, or I forgot the word. They declared the winner declaration. I think that's the word. Prime, the winning candidate. So it's just Trump lost. Though she dedicated the prize to Trump. It's yes, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe the guy will make another talk regarding mushroom cultivation. I have myself, I had a log from last season that actually pinned very well. It was based on fermented forest sawdust block. With the mycelium I have, produced, from a mushroom that was grown on wheat, and hay and such, so so I have started mine. So and I had various logs, and then they pinned, they gave they fruited mushrooms. So that is good to see always. Whatever you're doing in mycology, try to try to inoculate logs. That's the long way. That's just and that's the long way to keep specimens. It protects the mycelium. It's just if you have any strain, make sure you inoculate it to a log. It takes years, but it's worth it. It'll take a year maybe. Make sure the logs are wet though. If there's a clean tree, nicely cut, wet, it's just first things first. Inoculate it with mushrooms. Even if there's a log sitting around, bury it. It'll catch on something to inoculate, to grow. I mean, so the we need to feed the ground with fungi. We need to feed. We need to keep fungi underground. The soil needs to be alive, ladies and gentlemen. This is the kind of take-home message. The soil is alive, and let's keep it alive. Is that too much? Is that too much to ask for? Okay, the soil is alive. Let's not kill it. Keep the soil alive, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, in the steppe, doesn't matter. In the forest, the soil is always alive. So let's keep in mind. So it's almost, it's past for this. It says 9 seconds 1 hour. So it's 1 hour, ladies and gentlemen. I think enough. It's almost 1:58 a.m. here in Turkey. I just wanted to make a podcast and then see everything else is working. And then my computer is running on Windows 10, and then it says after October 14th it will run out of security updates. It's just it's just, it was a computer I bought back in 2012, 13ish. Almost, it's almost 10 years. It's still working nice. It's okay, but see with the software, with the globalist, they just it's just they want they provide us with the security updates. It's just I'm sick of this. It's just, who is this evil trying to stop me doing what I do on my computer? I just don't get it. I mean it's just, let it. I mean, you may stop the security updates for Windows Professional. I mean, it's just that, like, this is like the home edition, the computer, for God's sake. I mean, I'm not running like stock market from this thing. It's just, why? It's just, I don't get it. We are paying all this money to internet. It's just, see, globalist, what you're doing. It's just, it's just. So I need to go and buy a new computer now. It's just, this is working. Why? It's just that. So I need to buy another laptop now. I don't get it. It's just, about the security updates. It's just life is all about that. Who, like I said, it's like this is a basic home edition computer. Why do I need a security update? It's just, why? From what? It's just, if they want to hack into my computer, they will. Anybody will. I'm sure there's like 100 ways to do it. Why are you stopping? It's just, should I listen? I have no idea. It's just this operation system thing. On Windows 95, 96, 97, 98. Windows X, Windows 2000, and then Windows 7 and Windows 8, and then Windows Vista, and then just Windows 10, 11. It's just, it never ends, like iPhones, 14, 15, 16, 17. Same shit. Same shit. Waste of minerals, waste of money. It's just, these globalists. I'm telling you, maybe Trump is right. It's just, these globalists are too much. It's just too much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. I'm sure people hopefully will listen. I hope it recorded, so maybe hopefully you can watch it again on YouTube. So I will end the stream here. Thank you. Bye bye.